Welcome to the Healers Cafe, conversations on health and healing with Dr. Minot.
So welcome to the Healers Cafe. And today I have with me Kate Redford. And boy, she has done a whole bunch of different trainings. She's graduated with a kinesiology degree, became a rehab personal trainer, a registered massage therapist, and then decided to study 6 more years part-time to become an osteopathic manual practitioner. She's also a holistic nutritionist, and I'm sure there's more. A coach, of course, there's that. But her purpose is to give and receive love and connect to the oneness of all living things. I think I'm going to leave it at that and welcome you. And you can add in the parts I may have been missing with all that.
There's no parts missing. That was perfect.
It's quite a, well, I'm assuming that there were stages that got you to go to different things. So I think my first question to you, which is common to all healers, what happened? How did you start in this journey, literally? Like, what interested you? And
So interestingly enough, I was really into exercise. If I was in nature exercising, I was happiest as like a, grade 5, grade 6, like that was something I loved. And I remember going to do a 10K run somewhere around my house, and there was massage therapy for free, at the end of the race. And I was, I don't know, 16 years old. And I remember lying on the table, and no one had ever really touched me for therapy or anything like that, nothing like that ever. And I remember they touched my lower back on the left side, and I almost jumped off the table. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I want to run the rest of my life, I better take care of myself. And so I started seeing the person in charge of course, it was all the students practicing massage at the race. And so I ended up going to see that teacher who did sport massage, and the rest is sort of history. I graduated from, I loved the body and anything about the body. So kinesiology was a great match. And then massage therapy was just because I'd been going to see one. I honestly can't remember the mechanics, but that I do remember that when they touched my muscle, and I thought, holy heck, how could that hurt so much? I had no idea.
and because it's interesting. I mean, some people go into healthcare not because they've had a pleasurable experience, but usually because there was something that they wanted to solve, or something that their own life experience led them into finding solutions for. So that was not then your case.
I think God was speaking me through the back door because my blinders were on here. And yes, of course. But that was how I remember getting into massage. But honestly, I went into massage thinking, no, I'm science-based. I'm not, what you might think when you think of massage therapy. And really, I was. And my digestion had been an issue. But again, at that point, I kind of thought my digestion was normal because it was normal for me.
Right.
And then, of course, it got worse. And then I started to, in my 20s, think, oh, I don't think this is normal. And I was so off balance. That's where I hold my stress. I can remember being a 5-year-old and having digestive issues. My mom can remember me as a baby having digestive issues. So that's been the long running theme for me. And it was interesting because I really didn't walk into, kinesiology and personal training and massage. I didn't walk into that with, oh, I'm like I feel now I can say I'm a healer, and I didn't see myself as that in the least. So that has been the journey. And of course, I healed myself along the way. I am healing myself along the way.
Right. So, but I mean, because you could look that osteopathy is a sort of natural deepening of the knowledge. But osteopathy, from what I understand, also offers quite another angle, a bit like what I do is Bowen therapy. and I teach it at my college. But I have found that osteopathy is and there's different schools of osteopathy once again. So I've got to put
Oh,
all
yes.
these disclaimers
I understand.
just to be clear.
Just to be clear, don't want to step on anybody's toes.
But there's a definite correlation with Bowen therapy and osteopathy in the way that we understand the body working. Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So osteopathy literally changed my life, and how I got sitting in that seat that first day. Again, I was really searching. I was 5 years into massage therapy and the training. It was an awesome gig, but I was like, I cannot do this forever. I just can't. It's very taxing. I was chasing the pain. If you had a sore shoulder, I treated your shoulder. Right. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So it was rewarding, but I felt like there was more. And when I sat in that seat, in June, I went to a psychic, as one does, and they said, "Oh, we see an osteopathic diploma on your wall." And I was like, "Me? That's not me. I don't feel energy. I'm not that person." And I'd been to an osteopath sort of a year or two before, and I said, "Do you think they're born or made?" And he said, "I think they're born." And I was like, "Oh, well, I'm not born to do that. Too bad." So I kind of never thought about it again. Went to the psychic. He's like, "Oh yeah, your hands are white light, and oh, you're a healer." And I was like, "Okay, cool." 2 weeks later, I signed up for that 6-year part-time program, and the rest is history. But when I sat in that first class, I mean, we talked about ethics. I remember everything about it, and I remember really crying, like having tears in my eyes, because everything that they were teaching me made so much sense. And they were really talking about the cause and the nervous system, and how the symptoms generally not the cause, and especially if it's a chronic issue. And I was like, hallelujah, this is what I need to know next to help people more, and frankly to help myself. So that's not answering your question. So osteopathy is all about, I care about your symptom. I really care about your health history, because that tells me the story of the body. I can tell you later 5 main things that I always need to know, and then I feel like I can get inside your body. and we were taught to treat on the structural level. We were taught to treat the fluids, and we were taught to treat the energy. And I'm sorry, but the fluids are just magical. We know we're 70-80% fluidic.
Of course, yeah.
We die very quickly without water and fluids. And that, to me, that being able to sense and treat and help people. I mean, if you have chronic tension here forever because of your posture or because of a car accident or any hundreds of reasons, you are going to affect the fluid flow. If you can help that, you are going to feel better. So the fluid flow, and then of course the energy, of course. But I don't know, the fluid flow blew my socks off when I was learning it.
Well, I'd love to go a little more in depth with fluid, actually, because my understanding of fascia is that you can drink water, cool, but if you don't move the fascia, then you're not actually hydrating, and therefore it's not going, you can't bring the nutrients to the areas that are needed. You've got scar tissue that's blocking structurally. So, I mean, but go on, tell me a bit more, because I have not done osteopathic training, and I'm curious. And did you study at the Ontario School of
Canadian College of Osteopathy?
What is it called?
The Canadian College of Osteopathy.
Right. Okay, that's the one in Ontario, correct?
Correct. It started in Quebec.
So, I see. Oh, and then it moved to
a decade in 81 or 80.
Yeah.
And then it was
Okay. Yeah. I had a friend who went to that. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, they have over 1,000 osteopaths now.
Yeah.
They're training. It's pretty great. And it takes 6 years to make one. So that's a lot of years.
Yeah. So let's go on a little bit about hydration. Let us know what hydration is from what do you mean by it, and why is it so important?
That's a great question. And I have to think about how I'm going to answer it. So the fascial body, if if people out there who have heard about fascia or haven't heard about fascia, fascia is, to me, it's like saran wrap around every single structure in the body. You can think of it around every single muscle fiber, every single muscle, every single bone, every single organ. It's even around all your arteries. Okay, so it's everywhere. And then if you think of the fascia as saran wrap, which is pretty easy to, it's fragile. And if you can think of 100 different spider webs all intertwined, wrapping around every single tissue in your body, and then you yank on one end of it because you broke your ankle when you were 18, or you had a bad concussion when you were 12 playing hockey, or right, there's a million ways to create tension in the body at any age. And then you can create an actual anchor point in the fascia. And sometimes people's body release it really well and adapt really well, and after too many whacks, people's bodies don't adapt super well. So how does hydration fit with all of that? It's going to move better the better your fluids are moving. I, to be honest, think more about the fluidic body. I don't really think about it as hydration as I do how your lymphatic system is working, how all the fluids in your body are working together. And we're taught that emotions are held in that fluid. So
Mhm.
it's a big topic. And
Mhm.
yes, it's about hydration. So I apologize for maybe not answering it
No,
really
no, I mean it's
specifically.
all interesting, but
but
um,
but through I mean, after you give someone a treatment where you are very focused on the fascial body, you
mhm,
definitely are always telling them to drink more water,
mhm,
right? Because then you want to maintain that motion, and like you said, that's how you're going to do it.
mhm,
But there's another layer when I think about fluids, is I want to see that whole fluidic body. I mean, fluids are everywhere
mhm.
in our body, and we are taught with our hands to feel where they're not moving well.
Right.
So to get them moving better in a person can be so rewarding for you as the practitioner and
Mhm,
the person, because it's just a level that maybe they haven't been treated on.
mhm,
And for a lot of people, they can get a lot of success through that.
mhm, mhm. Well, I think yeah, we're on this similar page on the understanding of that because once you touch the body and you allow the fascia to release, it directly allows the fluids to move, right? So it's really literally intertwined. But I love your spider analogy.
Oh, good, good.
I think that's great.
You have to figure out ways to make it, because it's, and it's so funny because people will say about osteopathy, it's a very light touch. People will say, "Oh my gosh, what did you do?" And I'll repeat this maybe 3, 4 times to the same person, and they'll still describe it as, "I don't know," but that's okay. It's just outside of the box, right?
Yeah.
So I try with analogies to
Well,
provide.
we live in a society where simple things that work seem like that can't be true, right?
Exactly. And especially if you can barely feel it. And coming from, I had to really unlearn
Oh, I
everything
can
I
only
knew.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had one of my best buddies in school was a naturopath, and she had taken some cranial sacral courses, which is part of what we learn in osteopathy. Her hands were like, I thought, magic, because she would just touch you like this. Oh, it was heavenly. But I would touch you like this, and then she'd be like, ow. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I can't feel anything. So, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot
Well,
of
it's such a different perspective on the power of touch, literally, right? It's it's one massage is more mechanistic and as if we're working on the body. That's how I distinguish it with Bo. And I say, well, we work with the body. So it's kind of a different subtlety. We still use touch, but it's light, right? So
100%. And when I, again, sitting in that learning of osteopathy, the philosophy of you're going to just help their body do it was like,
right, exactly.
and then sitting there going, well, why didn't I think of that? That makes way more
Yeah.
sense.
So the training in these schools in Canada, because I know I taught when I went to France, I taught osteopaths Bowen therapy. And they were like,
You,
what? You know, and I was like, what? Because
right?
everyone's on it. And so some of them were really strong and doing quite harsh work. And I mean harsh in my mind. And others were barely touching. And I'm like, I couldn't figure out what osteopathy is. And then, you know, when I came to Canada, I noticed that here sometimes you have to be a medical doctor, or at least in the States. And I'm like, okay, so this is a division away from chiropractic, which more or less believes again that we do things to the body.
Force,
You
outside
know?
force. Mhm.
Yeah. So it's so the school principle then from here, what is the philosophy?
Oh, it's beautiful. Well, the main thing is that the body will heal itself, as
Right.
you so eloquently said, and that we have four main principles, and one is structure governs function.
Right.
So if I have chronic tension in here affecting my lung, because I can have tension in my lung, yes, you can, not just your shoulder, you can
Yeah.
have tension in your organs. Our belief is that tension will affect function. If we can then decrease the tension, structure will govern function. If the structure has less tension, the function will be better. It's very simple and
Yeah.
frankly makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
That's number
So,
one. Sorry.
oh yeah, go on, go on.
Number two is that the body is always going toward homeostasis and balance,
Mhm.
which hallelujah, it is.
Mhm.
And number three, the rule of the artery is absolute. So if you, again, that goes back to the fluidics, the fluid. If your cells are not getting proper fluid exchange, proper oxygen, and getting away the waste on a cellular level, it's not going to function as well. It's
Mhm.
very simple. And then number four is the body is working as a whole, as a unit, and that's because of the fascia body.
Mhm. Sort of like a 10 segment model that
Integrity. I haven't heard that word in so long. Yes.
Now, what about that third category of the first three, of which hydration was number two, and you said the third is energy. What is the vision of energy? Because in trying to get the my training certified and acknowledged by nurses and by chiropractors and naturopathic physicians and et cetera, the word energy, even though I don't know, like Chinese medicine certainly, which is well looked at, that one does work, ish. I mean, the studies are all over the map in the sense of we know that the meridian lines follow many of the fascial lines. There's definitely some parallel there. But we're officially not really to talk about energy. So how do you or how does your school approach energy? What is energy?
Well, luckily, my school is not regulated by the government yet. So luckily, I got the real deal because whenever it gets regulated, the course material will change.
Yeah. Hi, it's Dr. Manon, and I just wanted to take a moment, commercial break, to ask you to subscribe to my podcast and kindly leave a comment if you're enjoying this. And also, just to let you know, I have tips for people in health looking for solutions to just a variety of issues. It's more like an attitude of health, and they're entertaining short videos, and you can find those under drmanonboliger.com/tip. The link is here, and I look forward to hearing from you. Yeah.
So I feel very blessed that I got the teaching I got.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the world we live in the medical model being very well looked at. So again, it was interesting. For 3 years of the course, the first 3 years, it's all structural. So we're really looking at the bones and the organs, but as a structure. And then in fourth and fifth year, we learn the fluids. And then we do a thesis in sixth year. And then we're told, we're taught to feel energy in fifth year, here and there.
Mhm.
And then we're said it's continuing education courses. And there's this brilliant woman, of course, at our school who is really good at teaching it. Because can you imagine trying to teach that? So again, I've taken many of her courses, and there's different, she teaches it as there's different layers of the energy. So there's the EMF, there's the morph, and to be honest, there's two more and they've left my brain right now. And she tells us how to feel it. So my answer to you is they really don't talk a lot about it
Mhm.
until later, and probably because you need to get your hands.
Yeah, I do. The way I see it anyway, for sure, is that because when I first learned, I didn't invent Bowen therapy. It was Tom Bowen who came up with it, and then I contributed massively to it and brought in the trauma component and the integration of mind, body, and all of that stuff, because
Amazing.
that was my passion. But I know when I first took my first course, first of all, I'm dyslexic, so fine. Left, right, all that kind of stuff. Where to stand, how to do what. It's like, oh my God, it was really difficult. And in fact, the fellow that was training me, Ozzy, kicked me out of the class. He said, "There's really no point you doing this.
Wow.
Just
Wow.
give a person a challenge like me, and then you got it made."
You watch. Watch me.
You
You
just
do
watch.
a favor.
No, I don't think I quite consciously did that, but unconsciously, I'm sure it was a driver. But anyhow, so that was, it took me a while in practice to develop the aptitude to go beyond the mechanics of the doing of it, where you can actually feel what's going on. And at this stage, I'm playing around with, I'm psychic, like literally.
Why not? Ask the
But
question, see what you get.
but well, the answer is yes. If I ask. But it's all levels of perception, depth of perception, which the first one is to feel. And most people, they touch, but they touch as in putting in energetic, touch, right? Whereas if you receive touch, and you look at the piezoelectric effect, and all these things that we can explain, as you move away, you feel more, right? You actually can feel significantly more. So after 30 years of practice, it's really not hard to have a person come in. I can see what's going on. Absolutely. And then it's interesting. It would be so untrue to say that there's some level of energetic perception. It's not possible not to be there. And yet we can't really talk like that except on my own show.
Exactly.
No, but I still talk, I talk about, because you can't be out of integrity, and you just can't be. And I understand,
honest, yeah.
I understand that some professions have chosen to separate the two as if it can be separated. I'm going to jump. Let's talk about your oneness. What is this? What is that?
So, for instance, it's a really an intention, because I know it's there from being able to treat patients, the privilege of treating patients every day. It's there because you feel it, and they feel it. And what I was going to say a second ago, as I was kind of interrupting you, is when my patients ask me about fascia and fluids, I feel like I can have an analogy, I can explain it, but when people say, what are you doing? And I'm in the energetic body, not that again, you can separate them, but that's the intent and that's what's coming up. I always say I can't explain it. I just know when it's right. And that, to me, that's what we're taught in school. We are taught in school. So again, with the Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, you've all probably heard of qi, right? And that's how they explain, what they call their energetic part, the qi, getting the qi flowing.
Yeah.
And what we're taught how I was taught was it's called vitality. So again, I'm assessing with my hands constantly with your vitality, your body's ability to heal itself. Low vitality, I got to work on your vitality before I work on your shoulder because it's not going to stay. So when I go into the energetic body, it's very challenging for me to put it into words. And that, to me, has taught me experientially about the oneness, about how we're connected, how we're all connected to nature, we know this, and it's science, and it's all in there with the metaphysical world. They've explained this, but to be able to feel it and to live there is pretty amazing. So I've had that experience, but to live there is an intent for me. Does that make any sense?
Oh yeah, that's absolutely.
To you.
To me. Anybody listening, I don't know. No, but it is sometimes it's something you need to feel to fully understand, right? It's I mean, not that I'm a wordsmith by any means, but it's a feeling thing. It is really an experience. Well, so many things are, actually, when you come right down to it.
Well, the things we can't see definitely are.
Well, even the things you can see, like the sun, extremely bright. But it's an experience, right? How do you describe what your interaction of your body experience is? It's challenging. I mean, you can say interoception, okay, that's what the body feels inside, but there is this connection to everything.
And the cool thing is the person feels it.
Yeah.
So they're asking for words. What is that? What is that? Yeah. Right? That's why they're asking.
And it's a shared experience. And I think, I mean, I'm well imagining it's the same, but one of the thrills I've had in practice is that it empowers people because they go, wow, my body did that. Oh, wow. Like crazy, right?
Oh, and more of that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, wow, and we're not trained to think that our bodies are so marvelous and so perfect. And, solutionless, everything is all on the outside, and it's not.
Well, and I say to people, they say, well, explain vitality to me. And I say, oh, it's like qi. I just say what I just said. It's like qi because people know qi. Right. And I say, we measure it as your body's ability to heal itself. I feel it as an expansion and retraction. But if we go deeper, it's God. It's, like, what is that? It's the part of you that's connected. So,
yeah. So, oh my goodness, we're just about out of time.
Okay.
I was going to say, well, you have 5 questions, or should we have everyone hanging what they are?
Oh yeah, I dropped that at the beginning.
But do you have a something? I believe I saw you have something that people can connect with you to find out those 5 questions, or I think it was on your Facebook.
I just wrote an article about it on my Facebook page.
Okay.
Kate Redford OMP. So Facebook, Kate Redford OMP.
Yeah.
Find me.
Okay, because that's where I saw the 5 questions, I believe.
Oh, good.
Yeah, let me just see what you had. Have you had any past traumas? Big falls, emotional traumas, car accidents, concussions, or sports injuries? Are you including in that emotional trauma? Yeah. Okay, I thought so. Number 2, do you have trouble sleeping? have you had multiple surgeries? And the reason for that is because of
Scar tissue.
the scar tissue.
As you mentioned already, I was like, we are in sync.
Yep. And then what is your energy level on average throughout your day? And why is that important?
Because that a lot of times I put my hands on someone and I say, are you tired all the time? They say, yes, whether or not they sleep well. So we can have different types of nervous systems where you actually do sleep well, but it doesn't matter, you're still tired. And you can be tired, obviously, because you're not sleeping well.
Yeah.
That'll affect your vitality, obviously.
And the last question you have is, do you take medications? Why is that significant?
Because it'll affect vitality. And the longer, I want to know how long you've been on them. And I want to know about sleep, because then I feel like it can get more inside your nervous system. Because the second we are having trouble with sleep for many years, our nervous system has been very out of balance for a very long time.
Absolutely.
So it tells me where I need to start.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's the same as well. You have to start there. You got to balance and put people back in parasympathetic, or they don't heal. Point
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you
so
on
much.
this call, and tons of information. I think we're going to get people understanding the importance of touch, which is perfect during lockdown. Since
Oh my gosh, touch yourself.
people are like, they're desperate to get touch, you know.
I know.
It's so essential, whether you're primary health care or not. It is primarily essential, I can tell you. And I don't know about where you are, but we have liquor stores open as primary, what do they call them, services for what is it, it's like essential services. And I'm like,
I know, and
no,
they've
no,
never
no,
closed.
no, no, no,
They've never
touch
closed.
is essential service.
Thank you. We were shut down for anyways. Who cares about that?
Okay. All right. All right.
Thank
Lovely
you
to have you.
so much. It was such a pleasure to meet you and to get to talk to you. And I can't wait to read your book now. And I'm going to quote you tomorrow on my Facebook page with your, of course, I'm going to quote you.
Okay. Make sure you tag me so I can respond.
Thank you for joining us
I'll
at the
tag.
Healers
Okay.
Cafe with Dr.
Okay,
Mano.
thank you so
For
much.
more information, go to drmanobollinger.com.